What's up, everyone? Welcome to Heroes Avenue. My name is Darren, and oh boy, I've been on a mission lately. I recently updated my computer and it got rid of my Final Cut Pro and my Adobe Photoshop, so I wasn't able to make videos on Tuesday, and I just been scrambling this whole week to find a way to get Final Cut. And I got my editing software back, and I'm ready to talk about the news. So today we're going to be talking about the DCEU and the CW verse, because Omre Kaya, I think that's how you pronounce his name, he's from the Vulcan Reporter. He is somewhat credible. He does have his sources. He is a hit or miss, but he does have his sources, and he has been right a few times in the past. And he does have a DC scoop about the CW verse merging with the DCEU. And this is what he tweeted. He tweeted, in a Zoom call earlier this month, DC Films asked the help of Berlanti Productions and other DC TV producers when it comes to world building in the DCEU. Characters from the DC television series will also be appearing in upcoming movies. The multiverse set up by the CW Crisis on Infinite Earths has been decided to be canon across basically everything, including the DCEU. So this is crazy news. This is something that early on of the CW verse, back in 2010, 2012, or I guess like 2011 to 2013, I think a lot of us really wanted this to happen. I think a lot of us, especially those hardcore Arrow fans, I was one of them, really wanted the Arrowverse to merge somehow with what Zack Snyder was building at the time, especially when they brought in the Flash. I feel like the way they brought him together, brought Grant and Stephen Amell together, I thought it worked perfectly, and the chemistry was so spot on. And we wanted, I guess, I know a lot of fans wanted them to jump onto the big screen. But years later, where we are today, things are definitely not the same anymore. And the tone between the CW fans and the DCEU fans, the tone is definitely different now. And I think I speak for a lot of DCEU fans where they probably hate this idea of the CW verse, or the CW DC characters coming into the DCEU movies. That in itself is crazy. I don't know if I want to see Batwoman in like in the same movie as like Ben Affleck's Batman or something like that. I mean, this is big news again, and the fact that, you know, DC is looking at Greg Berlanti. So Greg Berlanti, he's like the executive producer over at CW. He kind of oversees all the DC films and all the other shows on the CW, such as All American. I love that show. So Greg Berlanti, he's the one that set up the Arrowverse. He's the one that brought us the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and that's basically that event itself. That's why we're talking about this right now, because that event brought all the different shows and different universes and brought it together, and kind of like informing the audience that they're all connected somehow. Even though the Crisis on Infinite Earths was poorly done, I mean, the story was a mess, and there's a lot of cameos that made no sense, and yeah, it was just a complete mess. And Greg Berlanti, he has developed a DC film. He worked on Green Lantern, and we all know how that turned out, and it wasn't that great. But he does have potential for world building. I mean, in the beginning, like I said, I mean the part where, you know, we had Arrow and the Flash, that specific time was a great time to be a DC fan, because the chemistry, the story was done great. They casted very likable actors, and it was very serious at the time, and it wasn't super campy or anything like that. And yeah, I feel like that was a great time, and I feel like as soon as they started adding more characters and adding more shows, it just started getting really messy, and it kind of lost its magic, right? And so he definitely has potential. I mean, look at the DC Universe app or the HBO Max shows like Titans, Doom Patrol, Stargirl. Those are all great shows, despite Titans season finale. Despite that, those three are really great shows. They're not like super corny like how they are over at the CW shows. So Greg Berlanti, he's definitely able to change the tone depending on what platform or what service he's catering to. So the reason why I know a lot of people don't like Greg Berlanti is because of the CW shows. They're super like corny and it's all teen drama and all that stuff. But that's CW. That's their audience. That's what they're supposed to do. And so Greg Berlanti, he's able to change his tone with Titans and Doom Patrol and change the whole tone of the show, and it fit what they're going for. And so he definitely has potential, but it's definitely a gamble. I mean, getting this guy to work on the DC films is a whole nother beast. The reason why I like Walter Hamada and why I like James Wan and why I'm psyched for Andy Muschietti to come on and direct the Flash movie is because they already proved themselves that they're worthy of handling a franchise. Like Walter Hamada, he's the guy that oversaw all of the Conjuring films and the It franchise, and those are wildly successful. And James Wan, he worked on Conjuring, and he worked on the Fast and the Furious movie, the movie where Paul Walker died. He directed that film, and he made it successful. And so these guys were able to prove themselves and go into another genre of movies like the DC movies, and I had full confidence in them. And although the whole drama with Walter Hamada and Ray Fisher is going on, I still like what Walter Hamada is doing. I think I definitely agree with a lot of his decisions. Like Walter Hamada, his decisions for the DC movies right now, I think is going in a really great path. Since we're moving away from the Snyderverse, I think DC and Warner Brothers has to find their own path to go to, and I feel like Walter Hamada is doing a great job. And getting Greg Berlanti in there and having his input in everything, where he's not so successful. He's had his moments, but he also had his faults as well. And I feel like that's a huge gamble, especially with someone that's used to television and not totally familiar with the whole film landscape of things. So it's very scary. But if you haven't checked out the latest Superman and Lois trailer, you could already see the change in tone and just the way that trailer looks. It looks like a Man of Steel movie, or it looks like a Zack Snyder show. There's a scene where Superman is in like this tube or like is in this factory, and it looks like one of the scenes from Justice League where they're fighting the parademons with Steppenwolf. It looks, oh my god, it looks insanely like a Zack Snyder movie. And so you could already see the transition. If this tweet is true, you could already see the transition from DC changing their tone. So I would love to see more of that. If they want the DCEU fans to take these CW shows seriously, they definitely have to change the tones of these shows. If the tone of the trailer of the Superman and Lois movie actually matches the tone of the story, man, they got something golden then. So I hope the best for DC. I am gonna tread lightly, or I'm gonna be cautiously optimistic with this whole DC CW show merging with the DCEU. I rather have them be separate, to be honest, because I don't know why they would show up in a DCEU movie. What would be the purpose besides going to alternate universes? Or having like a maybe a Justice League of America movie and then having some of them come in. But at that point, you kind of feel like you're shoehorning people in. Like the story has to be great. There has to be a reason why we want to bring these TV heroes into the movieverse. There has to be a reason, a legitimate reason. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I know it's a lot to it's a lot to think about. I mean, we could talk about this all day, but I would love to know your guys' thoughts. Let me know in the comments below, like this video, and I'll see you guys again. Bye.